Juggalos in recovery. Juggalos in recovery. Juggalos in recovery.
Today's topic is based on the song Vomit, which not too many of you may be familiar with. It's on the newer deck, but it's the importance of self image. And this came up to me over the last week or so, talking with the teenagers and talking with a lot of my older friends that are going through like changes in their lives where they're trying to achieve these things that were really easy when they were younger and they felt like they were more powerful because they were pretty, they had more fit bodies. And that's what kind of spurred this topic. So the lyrics of the song kind of highlight the importance of having positive self-image and the consequences of having the negative one. So the protagonist in the song, or at least for the first section, named Erica, had beautiful physical appearance, but her negative self-image and bad behavior ruined her life, made it empty, made it something that wasn't worth living. So we're going to explore kind of the benefits of positive and the downfalls of the negative view of oneself. Developing positive self-image is kind of crucial for leading a fulfilling and satisfying life. It involves embracing and accepting all aspects of oneself, including flaws and imperfections. Now, we all have a lot of shit we like and dislike about it ourselves. It's all about trying to maintain that balance because you can always find something that is unique about yourself that you could view as a negative, but people around you may view as a positive. So, when you have that positive self image, you view yourself in a more positive life and you acknowledge your inherent worth as an individual. This mindset kind of allows you to develop a sense of confidence in your abilities and talents, which is pretty fucking important for moving forward and achieving goals because you're going to be held back if you're looking at these parts of yourself and saying how bad they are. Because when you start viewing yourself negatively, you're not going to have as much motivation to move forward. You know, having positive self image is known to have numerous benefits. One of the most significant benefits is improved mental health. And we talk about mental health shits a lot. The people with positive self image tend to experience less stress and anxiety, and they're less likely to suffer from depression because they're not so focused on those negative parts that a lot of us really look at. You know, they also tend to have a more optimistic look on life, which can lead to more happiness and more satisfaction. The mental health benefits include a positive with a positive self-image can lead to more success in various areas in life. When you believe in yourself and your abilities, you're more likely to take risks and pursue opportunities that align with your goals and values. This confidence can also help you build stronger relationships with others as you're more likely to express your needs, your boundaries, and overall like what you're comfortable with in a healthy and assertive way versus, if you looked at yourself in a negative way, you'd be satisfied with just having any form of attention. You wouldn't set up those boundaries. You wouldn't say what you're comfortable with in those situations because you don't view yourself as worthy of having boundaries. Positive self image can be pretty important contributor to being fulfilled. When you have a negative self image, it can significantly impact your life. Uh, you may find yourself struggling with low self esteem, low confidence. You may not be able to perform sexually because you're not comfortable with your own body. And that can lead to destroying relationships, ruining friendships by misplacing all of these things that you don't like about yourself and kind of forcing them onto others. You know, a negative self image can also affect academic and professional pursuits. the individuals that really suffer may find themselves struggling to perform in school, work, in all kinds of different environments where, people with a positive self-image may be more likely to succeed because they're networking, they're making friends, they're breezing through work because they're not so preoccupied on other shit. you know it's also often linked to bad mental health as well. Anxiety, depression, and suicide are also often tied to having a negative view of oneself. You may experience persistent negative thoughts and feelings of hopelessness, which can lead to deterioration of your own mental health when you're not taking care of looking at yourself in a positive light. You know, you could have trouble sleeping, lost appetite, lack of interest in shit that you normally find really enjoyable or fascinating. In the case of Erica, the protagonist from the first part of of the song, her negative self-image led to self-destructive behavior, where she was using her beauty and her pursuit of beauty to take advantage of others. She ended up lonely and bitter and ultimately died because all she could care about was her own self-image. And that's one of those things, like, most people have seen this at some point in their life, where they've grown up around a beautiful person, that was their entire personality. That was the only thing that they looked forward to in life, is maintaining that beauty. And that can be really, really self-destructive mentally. So when you think about that type of person, when they're in that specific situation, when they're so obsessed with physical beauty, that shit only lasts for so long. You can't maintain that for a lifetime. At some point, we all grow old, we all start changing in ways that we didn't at, 19, 20, or even in our 30s. At some point, physical beauty fades. At some point, we change our appearance. And let's even take it a little bit further. Let's talk about skills, because that also has a lot to do with self-worth. People that suck at something at first are still doing that thing, but the longer that they do that thing that they suck at it a little less. And a lot of us are really hard on ourselves, especially us perfectionists, when we're so disappointed in ourselves that we beat ourselves up over not being good at something right off the bat. But nobody's good at things as soon as they start it. And that has a lot to do with this topic as well. You know, this has so much to do with a lot of issues, especially in sobriety, because a lot of people get into drinking and drugging because they're no longer happy with certain parts of their life, certain aspects about themselves, certain aspects in their own personal life. They may feel a certain type of way because they've had a relationship where a partner loses interest, and they may take that blame on themselves. In the song, Erica spent all of her money on surgical upgrades to maintain beauty. But as she aged, her looks faded. This caused her to become bitter and resentful, leading to a miserable life. And that's something that we see all too often. We take way too much time to put importance on the physical appearance, and we kind of neglect ourselves or themselves in that situation. We're so much more than what you just see on the outside. But having the positive self image is crucial to having any kind of successful life. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the room, see if anybody else has some shit to say. What about you,
Eric?
Jet? Hmm? What up, Concrete?
What up? Oh yeah, I can dress myself as concrete.
What did you
Used to
just
go.
say?
My real name's Aaron.
Oh, you said Jaren. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm used to doing meetings going by Aaron, but everybody refers to me as Concrete because that's my stage name. But was it yeah, I remember
Daisy.
that first verse of that was it the
Sorry.
first verse of that song
Mhm.
is okay. Okay, the first verse of that song, I I remember listening to it back in the day. Like it was about the end of my active addiction when that came out. Actually, I remember they came out. They came out actually to the town I grew up in to sign autographs for that album, and I could have met them, and I didn't make it there because I was dating a chick just like that, and I just broke up with her, and I was worried she's going to come back and rob me, so I was too scared to leave the house. And I've always beat myself up about that. So when I hear that verse, though, I'm always like, yeah, take that, you fucking whore. But like, I'm a whore too. Like I mean, um, same thing. Like I seem to be acting out of fear, or the second verse, the guy that neglects his family. Sometimes I feel like I neglected my child because I was too busy pursuing my music career, and now I'm getting older, and that fear is kicking in where I got to hurry up. Like I just I just got off tour, and I'm about to go on a tour again, and starting to wonder if I'm overdoing it. Starting to want to hop on another tour, and even considering playing hooky at work. And even though I've seen that there's a lot of people, there's people at this job that disappeared for like a year and they still have their jobs because it's union. But that doesn't mean what I'm thinking of doing is right. But it's just acting out of fear because I'm running out of time. It's like, oh, I could wait and do that next year. I'm like, I'm going to be 43 next year. And because eventually my body's deteriorating. I can't jump up and down like I used to. There's a lot of stuff I can't physically do like I used to on stage. And I learned to become happy with myself, like if it gets to the point where I can't do that anymore, like I suck at this job. I actually do. I'm not very fast at it. And, when I'm on tour and stuff, people are telling me I'm awesome. I should do it again. They tell me not to stop. Here I got coworkers telling me this job isn't for me and blah, blah, blah. Even though I bust my ass. And so there's a lot of that going on. Like, well, what happens when I can't do this anymore? I don't know. I don't really plan on stopping, but the fact that I'm getting older, that fear's kicking in just like it would for a woman that's getting old that only went off her good looks. So it's like, instead of taking somebody else's inventory, I need to be looking at myself. Um, I'm gonna leave it at that for now, man. Thanks for having the meeting.
Yeah, man. Thanks for sharing on it. Uh, yeah, what's up, Sky?
I don't know. For some reason, when you were talking about that, the first thing it made me think of was like the Grand Canyon. Like, damn, at one time that shit used to be a lake, but then over time it changed. People thought it grew ugly because it like dried up and shit. The cliffs were no longer cliffs. It was just a deep like canyon. But look at it now. Like everyone thinks it's beautiful now. Physical beauty wasn't everything. And that's kind of pretty cool as like a real life metaphor kind of deal. And
Yeah.
you're right. The whole like chasing after the materialism, it's it gets addicting, man. It's like hard to walk away and embrace the spiritual or emotional growth as like an individual because yeah, man, the day's gonna come where none of us are able to do the things like we really wanted to do to like make tons of cash, look beautiful, or like do sports or any of that shit. It's not meant to last forever, so it's important that you focus on the ones you love and the things you have here and now.
Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to talk about awesome holes in the ground. Holes are dope. That's about as adult as I'm going to get while we're still on recordings. Jasmine, so I know you work in fashion. So I know you probably can speak on this in a different aspect than most. Do you care to speak on this?
I can actually speak on it a lot deeper too, because I'm actually also a dancer. Um, Part time now. I've been dancing on and off since I was 17. Um, so I know very well the pressure and the scare of getting older, and your looks changing and your income changing based on your looks, and your looks changing based on your age, and your abilities changing based on all of that. I also know what it's like to grow up with a very vain mother. Um, Very vain when it comes to looks. Like, she would call you ugly right to your face. She did it to my mother all the time, over her complexion. She's a colorist. Fun. Even better than a racist. She is a colorist, but she always like scared beauty. Like, even before becoming a dancer, she always scared beauty and presenting yourself how you look. Like, you don't have to look how you feel. It doesn't matter how you feel. You always have to look like top notch to everyone, and you have to um, hold up this certain persona as a woman, um, no matter how you feel on the inside. So yeah, I completely understand, because I'm still dancing on and off, and I tell a lot of the younger girls at work, invest your money, because I should not still be dancing right now. I estimated, so when I first started dancing, in my first year, I made over $70,000. Do you know how much money I had at the end of that year? Under three. Okay. Under three. And that has happened over and over and over and over until it finally clicked, because you get older and you realize, this money isn't going to keep coming in forever. You can't keep doing this forever. You're not going to look like this forever. You have to come up with a plan. And luckily, yes, I am big into fashion. I have modeled for a long time. Um, I have good connections, so I do have other outlets that help me outside of that industry. But yes, I can relate to answer.
Thank you so much. I because of the circles I ran in, I hung out with a lot of dancers, and I got to see this firsthand, where young 20-year-olds were coming in and being these wildly successful dancers and getting comfortable in that lifestyle, and then getting lazy, and then their income completely disappearing, and them losing their entire drive for life
Because they didn't save
because
their money and they didn't invest it. That's what happens. We get it. A lot of us come into it. Like, no girl wakes up in the morning and when she's little and says, I want to go be a stripper when I grow up. We all usually have some type of money trauma, which is my problem. I had to grow up. Like I said, I wasn't even legal when I started dancing. Um, so like, I had to work and struggle for just about everything I had, and with a very vain and mean mother. Um, and what she taught me, was at least you have your looks. And that's what I took with me, and everything else I had to learn that was learned the hard way financially was on my own. Because
well,
I was taught to use my looks to marry well and marry somebody with a lot of money. And I didn't choose to do that. And so that disappointed her. Uh, but it kind of backfired on her, because I am still in an industry that I am having to do exactly what she taught me.
and I'm always so proud to hear about your growth. Your growth is phenomenal, and I love your input, because not that many people can speak to this from actual experience.
it's the entertainment industry is it depends on what kind of girl you are. I've seen, very successful dancers who do well, they invest their money, I know plenty of rich ass strippers. But you have to, everybody comes from a different walk of life, and you have to be very level headed, and you have to go into it knowing that it's something you can't do forever, and you're not going to look like this forever.
Yeah.
And even me, like I said last time, I'm having the surgery, for personal reasons. But in the industry I am in, it's going to be very helpful having and keeping up with the cosmetic procedures that I do get.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Jasmine. What up, Sky?
How did you do it, Jasmine? Like, learn to let go of that? Because that's where I'm at right now, too, where it's like, damn, because you didn't have shit like coming up as a kid, and because your parents told you that's like all that mattered in life, it becomes like the whole story of like Moby Dick. Instead of the whale, you're constantly chasing that, like, oh, I gotta be on top. I always gotta be like 100%, even when I don't feel 100%, because people are expecting it of me, and I gotta like be able to rub their face in it.
You get to a point where you just get exhausted. And when you get exhausted and you crash and burn like that, you cannot go the way that you normally do. And so your spirit is naturally going to sit you down and tell you, hey, you're doing too much. Like, you're going to go through like a change, like, because your body and your mind changes every so often, where you want to do something different, and you're going to hit a wall where you're just going to be like, what can I do? What am I going to do to stop from running in circles? You have to realize that you're running in circles first. And then when you realize that you're running in circles, you'll try to find a way to get out of the maze. It's about getting tired of being tired.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
So,
dope. Because, yeah, I was like the same way, but I got the entertainment thing never worked out for me with like music. So then I got inspired by like corporate raiders of like the 80s and 90s who was like, oh, as much fraud as possible, cheat, lie, and steal your way to the top. And the cost of doing business is just that. And who cares if your soul gets hollowed out in the process?
yeah, you have to take care of, definitely take care of your spirit first, and your mental health. Like, it was not aligning with your mental health. Like, that's where I went wrong a lot, and just ended up, like I said, running in circles, and am just now leveling up and doing other things and doing bigger things, because I just wasn't tired enough, and I was complacent. And being complacent, you don't want to remain complacent.
No, and damn, that's really epic of you to mention that, because I think I was just talking to someone not even 10 minutes ago like that, where it's like, you've punched a wall 100 times, but what if you do something different this once? Do that instead of 100, maybe 80, and then next time do something different like 3 times. And you start
Or
to run in the opposite direction and you start to grow and evolve.
or maybe if you walk just a little further in the opposite direction, instead of just looking towards ahead to that like one part of the wall, there might be a door on the other end that you can walk through.
Oh, metaphor magic.